What began a small issue for Buddhists has grown into a nationwide fundamentalist movement. Ashin Warathu is one of the movement's leaders whose agenda now includes boycotts of Muslim-made goods. This group is spreading its message through regular sermons across the country that draws thousands of people. The movement calls itself 969 because the monks say it symbolizes the virtues of the Buddha, Buddhist practices, and the Buddhist community. Ashin Warathu rants against the enemy, which is the country's Muslim minority. Buddhist mobs had killed more than 200 Muslims and forced more than 150,000 Muslims from their homes. This anti-Muslim preaching is helping to inspire the violence. Thomas Fuller had this article published by the New York Times on June 20, 2013. He covered the conflict in Myanmar about the Muslims, but from the Buddhist perspective. The Buddhists feel the Muslims are troublemakers who are taking over their land because their population is increasing so rapidly, even though Myanmar only has about 4% to 8% Muslims. This article did not cover any Muslim's point of view. Fuller does point out that this argument does not include all Buddhists, but is still pretty biased against them. The title of the article alone, Extremism Rises Among Myanmar Buddhists, gives off a negative tone because of the word extremism. Also, the first sentence says Ashin Warathu launched into a rant against what he called the enemy, instead of simply saying he gave a lecture, a sermon, or a speech. This first paragraph set the tone of the whole article. Throughout Fuller's article, Buddhists call Muslims the enemy, mad dogs, troublemakers, and people who live in our land, drink our water, and are ungrateful to us. At the same time, Buddhists are called radical, extremists, and hate-filled and unthinkable. The Buddhists are portrayed as unreasonable and petty for killing more than 200 Muslims just to protect the land that is already theirs. The article also makes it seem like the Muslims aren't actually posing any threat to the Buddhist land. Fuller does not state any direct sources in his article, but does provide many quotations from Ashin Warathu, the Dalai Lama, Fra Paisal Visalo, a Buddhist scholar and prominent monk in the neighboring Thailand, and even the theme song to Ashin Warathu's movement. I think these quotations are reliable and make Fuller's point, but some other sources would be more beneficial. He states, "Many in Myanmar speculate, without offering proof, that Ashin Warathu is allied with hardline Buddhist elements in the country who want to harness the nationalism of his movement to rally support ahead of elections in 2015. This statement, given without any source, seems like an opinion. This article makes the Muslims seem so innocent and hated for doing nothing wrong. The only wrong that Fuller points out about the Muslims is that they are the minority with a quickly growing population. The article makes the reader feel bad for the Muslims and take the Buddhists to be the bad guys. The New York Times is a traditional American mass media, and it has biases. However, I don't think its liberal arts bias would have affected this article. I also don't feel a general attitude towards religion in general, only towards the opposing religions specifically. There was no broad statement given about religion. This article attracted my attention on the New York Times website because the title had Buddhists and extremism in the same sentence. This seems to contradict itself. So far, I have learned that Buddhism means the central path or middle way that leads to liberation. Buddhists believe in moderation between the extremes of sensual indulgence and self-mortification. So the title, Extremism Rises Among Myanmar Buddhists, drew my attention immediately.